How does a typhoon occur? Why does the typhoon take the course in the clockwise direction, while rotating in the counterclockwise direction? How does a typhoon occur? When the water vapor is condensed in the cumulonimbus, the atmospheric pressure on the upper cloud becomes low. The atmosphere in the upper layer flows toward the center of the group of cumulonimbus. The flow will swirl the clockwise direction by trade winds and westerlies. The angular momentum of the gas molecules, those gathered at the center, increases the rotational speed. When the centrifugal force of the airflow surpasses the centripetal of the pressure difference, the eye of the typhoon is generated. In the lower layer of cumulonimbus, the upward airflow lowers the pressure and the atmosphere flows toward the eye of the typhoon. The air at the interface between the eye of typhoon and the wall cloud rotates in the same direction, as clockwise direction of the cold airflow. So, each cumulonimbus rotates anti-clockwise direction. The cold airflow causes the warm air to cool down and the rain keeps the low pressure. The warm air flows toward the eye of typhoon continuously. The typhoon is generated and developed by gathering of cumulonimbus. Traditional explanation of westerlies and trade winds have problems with the description of the driving force. The east wind blows at the equator, because the atmosphere on equatorial region is delayed from the rotation of the Earth. The question is, does the friction of atmosphere exist in the universe? The atmosphere toward a point of high latitude from a low latitude moves to the east by a Coriolis force. A problem is, according to Bernoulli's theorem, the pressure caused by high velocity around the equator is low. The atmosphere in low latitude does not move to high latitude. The ocean's great circulation flows from east to west due to the tidal effect of the sun's attraction. A problem is, the flow of the ocean is slow. It cannot explain the origin of the occurrence of trade winds. Trade winds are caused by the solar wind. The solar wind collides with the atmosphere at high speed, about 450 kilometers per second. The solar wind has a rotational speed component of 2 kilometers per second due to the anti-clockwise rotational movement of the sun. The rotational movement component of the solar wind rotates the atmosphere of the area of the equator facing the sun in the clockwise directionally by a mechanism of a gear. Westerlies is driven by the difference of the effects on the atmosphere of east side and west side of rotating Earth against the solar wind. The component of solar wind is proton. The proton of solar wind penetrates to the inside of the magnetosphere and it causes the flow of the atmosphere. The geomagnetic field captures the proton of the solar wind. The magnetosphere forms the tail to the other side of the sun by the collision of charged particles of solar wind. The deformation of magnetosphere by the solar wind gives the driving force of the westerly orbiting the atmosphere in the sky of the middle latitude in the same direction as the Earth's rotation. Summary. The typhoon is caused by the cumulonimbus influenced by trade winds and westerlies. Those winds are driven by the solar wind. When the activity of the sun becomes active, it can be explained that typhoon rapidly develops and becomes strong, or the north tendency of maximum strength reaching latitude of tropical cyclone occurs. Thank you very much for your attention.